beautiful, and welcome back to the channel.
I bet if I give all my love, then nothing's gonna tear us apart.
So excited to talk about today's video because we are talking about my favorite subject, everything glow up, reinventing yourself. And I was sitting in my bed last night and I was just thinking about my own glow up story, and I was also thinking about other like glow up stories, transformation stories I've heard through self-help books, podcasts, whatever it may be. And I don't know, I was just very reflective, and I kind of saw a common thread throughout my story, other stories, and I really felt impassioned to talk about that very subject today. If glowing up, becoming your best self, if focusing on yourself is something that you are trying to do this year, go ahead, hit the subscribe button. That's what this community is all about. Like this video if you found it helpful, and meet me in the comment section so we can chit chat. Today's topic is all about how changing your environment will change your life. Not to be dramatic. Best thing that you can possibly do for your glow up journey is to change your environment. I have broken up this video into two separate parts: your physical environment and your internal environment, your mental environment. So I hope you found this video helpful. Please give this video a like. It tells the algorithm that this is a good video and shares it to other women just like you. Without further ado, let's get into today's video. Okay, so it's like I said in the intro, I was deep in thought, I was deep in my journaling, and you know, all day long, if you watch any of my glow up diaries, I listen to a lot of affirmations, a lot of positive podcasts. I consume a lot of positive content. I make social media work for me, so I'm constantly motivated, I'm constantly learning. You know, if I'm gonna be doom scrolling, then I want to feel good afterwards. So I just had a day full of just like positivity and pouring into myself, and I was journaling at the end of the night and just journaling how far I have come on my healing journey, on my glow up journey, on reinventing myself. And then I was also thinking about, you know, some of the other women's content that I consume and seeing how they changed their life around. And I noticed always a moment in our stories in which we made an abrupt and intentional change to our environment. For me, it was a couple of different things. It first started by leaving law school. That was the biggest stressor in my life. I had gained a whole bunch of weight. I was breaking out. My hair was falling off. I was the most depressed and anxious I had ever been. Step number one for me changing my environment. The next thing I did is I moved apartments. I have a very big belief that the trauma and emotions are held within walls, if walls could speak. So the second thing that I really prioritized was moving environments. Third thing I did was breaking it off with my toxic relationship. I'm sorry, but you are who you attract. And that low vibrational energy is just attracting more and more toxicity in my relationship. I should have left a long time ago, but because of my own insecurity and my own unhealed parts of myself, I thought that that was what I deserved. So once I broke it off with him, I proved to myself and to the universe and to God that I deserved better and I was gonna go out and get better. Things started changing for me. The fourth thing I did is I started going to workout classes. Now, I love an at-home gym. I love things that are in an apartment, but there was something about going to workout classes in affluent neighborhoods, taking Pilates classes, introducing myself to some of the women in those classes, really changing up my environment really helped. And the fifth thing, kind of along that same thing, is I started switching up where I was working. I personally work from home, so instead of just staying at my desk in the corner, once or twice a week, I would go to a coffee shop in an affluent neighborhood, or I would go to the park, or I would sit outside and I would do my work in a different environment. Now, right off the bat, those are the 5 things that I personally did to change my environment. A lot of those things are drastic things, and not all of them came at once. This happened throughout time, and some of those decisions felt very intentional, and some of those decisions felt like I was backed up against a wall and I had no other option. It is extremely important that you are intentional about changing your environment on your glow up journey. Humans are very, very adaptable creatures. We adapt to our environment. You ever notice at the beginning of winter, that first really cold day, it feels freezing, it feels unbearable. You don't know how you're gonna get through another winter. Then by the end of winter, maybe you invested in a good coat, got out all your warm socks and warm gear, and by the end of winter, it just kind of feels like a part of your day-to-day. You don't even really think about the cold. old. You can apply that same analogy to life. If you are surrounded by toxic people that are always gossiping, are never trying to improve in life, if you are in a very cluttered and messy home and environment, if you are just doing the mundane things, working in a corner every single day, not going out and experiencing the world, you are going to adapt to that and you are going to meet it at that frequency. Rather than if you change the tone of your environment, not only will you raise your frequency, you will raise your energy, but you will also challenge yourself. You'll also meet new people. You will have something to look forward to, something to be excited about. And through this process, you become acutely aware of the things that bring you stress, and you become aware of your boundaries and your limits with people, with places, whatever it may be. You learn a lot by being intentional about changing your environment. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I'm breaking this video up into two different parts. The parts that I can speak to, your physical environment and your mental, your internal environment. So let's start off with the physical environment. Let's start right off with your home. Now, one of the main things, like I mentioned before, that I did is I made a very intentional change to move. Whether it was breaking my lease, whatever it had to be, I needed to move. I felt so cramped in that apartment. My last apartment had 2 windows and it was facing a courtyard of other apartments. The windows were so slim. I barely got any light in that apartment. It was so dark. I couldn't see nature. I couldn't see anything except for concrete, and it was draining me. That was also the apartment that my ex lived in with me, and I felt so icky in that apartment. My color palette was black and white. I felt like it didn't serve me. It drained me every single day to come home. And your home should be your personal sanctuary. You should not be drained coming home. Now, ideally, in a perfect world, could we all just get up and move to a new home, to a new apartment, to a new house, whatever it may be? Yeah, in a perfect world, we can do that. But maybe you just renewed your lease. Maybe your lease isn't up till another 6 months. Maybe you're in a situation where you just cannot move. Let me give you some great tips about changing your home environment for your glow up journey. Number one, I've mentioned this before, so let's just get it out of the way. Organization. Investing in some organizing bins, watching organizational videos here on YouTube, organizing your space and taking it room by room. Maybe tackling your closet because your clothes are always on the floor and it makes you feel overwhelmed. Maybe organizing your desk. Your desk you associate more with work rather than creativity and passion. Organizing your kitchen cabinets if you love to cook, your access to things. Organizing your bathroom of all of your self-care items that make you feel so loved and so pampered in there. Organizing your bookshelf of your accomplishments from high school, from college, from this activity to that activity, and maybe your favorite self-help books or romance books that make you feel like you're going into another world. Changing your environment can look like just organizing your environment. That same notion with your home, optimizing your home. I didn't even know that I was doing this until just recently. I think I was listening to a podcast episode on optimizing your home, and I was like, oh, I was just doing that because things were stressing me out. But then I realized even in my dream apartment right now, things were still stressing me out. So this is what I started doing. I started doing very little things that started to have really big impact on my day-to-day life. So what I would do the night before is I would set out my workout clothes, everything from my socks to my shoes to my water bottle. I would pack my gym bag the night before so that I'm not running around doing 50 million things, rushing my morning routine in the morning. Everything was there. Same thing with my morning skincare. Every single night, I laid out my morning skincare routine on my bathroom counter so I wasn't sifting through drawers. My pre-workout, my protein shake, my L-glutamine, I lay it all out on my kitchen counter for when I go into the kitchen to do all of my liquid supplements in the morning. I heard a great hack on a podcast. If I can remember the podcast, what it was, I'll include this below. But the person was saying cause used to give them a lot of anxiety doing laundry, clothes would pile up on the floor, but she noticed that she would always throw her clothes into one corner of the room. What she did is she got a really, really big hamper, and the hamper separated colors, whites, and towels. And she put the hamper in the place that she always just naturally threw her clothes. So when she went to go throw her clothes, the hamper was already there. So she's like, oh, I might as well just put it in the correct bin. That's how she was optimizing her space. I thought that was like an ingenious way to optimize your environment for your glow up journey. Another thing you can do for your home is bring out more of your personality in your home, or you can go the minimalist route. You can bring more personality in your home, showcasing different like awards, like I said, or books, or different colors, things that bring you happiness and vibrancy. Or you can be like me and everything can be very neutral. So when you come home, everything is peaceful, everything has a correct space. Honestly, a lot of colors stress me out. That is just me personally. I prefer a very minimalist, neutral color palette because when I have a crazy day out there, when I come home, everything just feels like a spa, and it's very neutral and it's very clean, and I love it. This can even go towards lighting. I really recognized how I feel in different moods with more fluorescent lighting or more yellow lighting. Personally, I have smart bulbs that I can change the different temperatures on the light bulb, and I really found that this made an impact to my mood in my environment. Okay, so that's the home. Like this video if I should make like an it girl home favorite. The last thing I will mention about changing your environment, changing your home, is creating a me corner or a sanctuary of peace in your home. It could be the smallest corner in your house. I personally have a me corner. I have a big neutral bean bag with a little desk chair and an olive tree, and it's very simple, but it is a place where I decompress. I can scroll on my phone. I can FaceTime loved ones. There's such good energy, good intentional energy in that corner that although that I have like this entire home to myself, like I live by myself, I have a little pocket and I have a little corner of the world to call my own, to journal, to pray, to do whatever I need, to cry in that corner. It feels very, very, very safe for me. So if you can't go and get some new furniture or do all of these different things, maybe all you can do in that moment, find a corner in your house, bless that corner, deem that corner to be intentional and peaceful and a safe space. Put a pillow next to it, put a journal next to it, and that is a place when you get stressed out or when you feel happy or when you feel anything, when you want to journal, when you want to cry, when you want to pray, when you want to scroll on your phone, that is the corner that you do it in. Optimizing your physical environment can also look like the places that you frequent. Now, I talked about energy and frequency, and if we are always doing the mundane things, going to the same places over and over again, we're going to adapt to that frequency. When you change the places that you frequent, you make life fun again. You make it playful. Some of my favorite things to do is instead of working all day in the corner of my apartment, 1 to 2 times a week, I go to coffee shops in affluent neighborhoods. It's a great way to meet people. It's a great way to network across different industries. I tend to get a lot more done in a coffee shop in a few hours than I do at home dilly-dallying. Love trying new coffee shops all throughout Atlanta and Georgia in general. Create something fun to look forward to during the week. I'm like, Wednesdays are like my new coffee shop days. Like I'm gonna look up this coffee shop on TikTok or on Instagram, and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna try out the food there, and I'm gonna work there, and maybe I'll meet a new friend. Like it gives me something to really look forward to and really raises my vibration and my energy. This can also look like restaurants. Like I love trying new restaurants and new parts of Atlanta. It switches up my routine. It switches up my environment. It's just another great thing that I like to do. Walking should definitely be a part of your just in general glow up. It is great exercise. You can do walking meditations and everything like that, but it can also give you a great appreciation for the environment around you. I recommend not going on your phone and really taking in the birds chirping, the different trees and the different plants that you see. Maybe choosing different walking paths, maybe driving a little bit further to go to a different park. Being in nature in general is a very grounding energy. And if you have maybe 1 day a week or maybe 1 day a month where it's like, I'm gonna choose a walking path to go to. I'm gonna switch up my environment for the week. I'm gonna switch up my environment for the month. And I'm really going to take in all of these senses and this new experience. Again, it gives you something to look forward to, and it has you vibrating at just such a different frequency. Let's talk about work, because I would be remiss to say how much work, again, for me, it was law school, had an impact on my mental health. And I really felt like once I left law school, I felt like I viewed the world differently. Like I felt like when I left law school, like things started to become more vibrant. Like my eyes started to become more vibrant. I know that sounds crazy, but if you've ever left something so toxic, I promise you, you wake up the next day and you start to notice different things in your environment. Now, does everybody have the luxury in this economy to just leave their job? No. So let me give you an alternative. One thing that you need to be doing just in general, I'm not saying everyone needs to have an entrepreneurial spirit, It's not for everyone, but maybe you just start a very, very small side hustle, something outside of work that is a passion project of yours that may or may not bring you money. Who knows? You could be able to quit your job one day just based off of this passion, but it gives you something else to work towards for yourself, for your own passion. It gives you something to look forward to that is just for you. This in essence is changing your environment, and you start to see work as funding that passion instead of just working tirelessly 9 to 5, 8 to 6, making somebody else money, but instead you have a purpose for being there to fund your own passions and to fund your own life. The last thing I will talk about with physical environment, I really don't know which category to put this in, internal or physical. So I put it towards the end of physical going into internal, but changing your environment also includes changing the content that you consume. I've mentioned this in a couple TikTok videos. I've mentioned this in a couple Instagram reels. If you are not following me on there, I post a lot of content that you will not see here on YouTube. But luckily, I have also mentioned this on YouTube about making social media work for you. Now, you can go as far as unfollowing everybody and starting from scratch in this new version of you. Maybe you don't go to that extreme, maybe you do. But at the end of the day, it is your phone. It is your phone bill. It is your social media account. Why are you being a victim to these things? You need to make social media and the content you consume work for you. What you need to be doing is you need to unfollow the shade room, unfollow gossip pages, unfollow all of those celebrities, unfollow the influencers that you do not resonate with or that you feel icky about, that you just cannot relate to. And what you need to be doing is you need to be following motivational pages, quote pages. You should be learning, following self-help, glow up content, how to become your best self, how to start that business. If you're very interested in golf, following golf pages. If you're very interested in sewing, following sewing pages. You should be learning, you should be motivated, you should be inspired, or you should be checking in with friends and family on social media. When I'm scrolling through social media, I honestly never really feel icky afterwards. If anything, I feel icky about the amount of time, but I never feel icky about the content because I know there was something on there that really motivated me. I learned something that was like a little nugget in my brain, like, oh, I'm gonna try that makeup hack next time. I really like how that one makeup artist that I follow, I really like how they'd use that. Like, oh, this really skincare influencer, she has the same hyperpigmentation and acne as me, and she says this really works, and I really trust her opinion. I'm gonna do this. Or I saw this really good quote that really resonated with me. I'm gonna journal about it. You need to start making social media work for you. And even talking about your phone in general, I highly, highly, highly recommend utilizing the do not disturb button or the personal or the focus buttons. I highly recommend doing that. When I put my phone on do not disturb and I do not have constant notifications popping up on my home screen, and I choose when to interact with people, and I choose when to be bothered, and I choose when to interact with social media, world of a difference. The last thing I will mention is the conversations that you have. Again, I'm going to relate this back to the people that you surround yourself with. Take inventory about what your conversations are mainly talked about. Are they a lot of gossiping? And there's nothing wrong with that. I love a good kiki. But are we talking about how to build a business? Are you putting me on with this person? Are we motivating each other? What do those conversations consist of? I know you saw this coming, but changing your environment also looks like changing the people that are in your environment. You should try your hardest not to be the smartest in the room. If people are always coming to you for things and you can't go to anybody for anything, that is a problem. Take inventory of the conversations you are having with people and how they are making you feel after that conversation. If you have a conversation, if you have a lunch with that person, if you have a FaceTime with that person, and you leave that conversation feeling drained, you feel icky, you feel tense, you feel anxious, or do you feel motivated? You talk to that person and you're just like, oh, you're doing this and this and this. Oh, let me get on it. Like, oh, like, wow, you really heard me out in that moment. I feel really good. I feel really safe. Like, I feel a lot more relieved after talking to you. How do you feel after talking to that person? Energy and frequency is everything. I'm sorry. You are what you attract. When I started to love myself, when I started to demand a certain energy around me, I promise you, the men that actually were intentional about dating me and approaching me were of such a caliber because I exuded the type of energy like you can't even really come up to me because you know I'm not even gonna mess with that type of energy because I'm not even at that place. Now, a lot less men came up to me, but the men that did come up to me were of such a high caliber because of what I was exuding. The same thing in my personal relationships. You lose friends that way, but you also gain amazing girlfriends by working on yourself. Let's move on to our internal environment, our mental environment, because this is just as important as our physical environment. All know it starts from within. It starts from our own energy. It starts from our own frequency. You attract what you are what you attract. So let's work on the internal glow up, the internal environment, the mental environment. So I mentioned the whole idea for this video came after a day of a lot of positive self-talk, a lot of affirmations, a lot of podcasts, the things that I do on a normal basis to fill my day with positivity. Now, at first it kind of seemed silly to me to letter off these morning affirmations as I go to Pilates, or, you know, to take time to listen to podcasts, hear somebody else speak about something throughout the day. But I really realized after a while, the repetition of physically hearing all of these positive things really made a really great impact on my self-concept. I started to talk to myself differently. I started to view myself differently. I started to demand a certain type of treatment from everybody around me because I was demanding it of myself every single day. One of those things was, again, positive affirmations. I love Habits of a Goddess podcast. I personally listen to it on my way to Pilates, on my way to berries, on my way to workout classes. But if I don't work out for that day, I'll listen to it as I'm doing my skincare routine. I will repeat the affirmations in my head, or again, if I'm going to a workout class in the morning, I will repeat them out loud. And I try to really feel and internalize that affirmation every single time I say it. It really improved the way that I talk to myself and the language that goes on in my head when I'm talking about myself, if that makes sense. This also goes to podcasts. I listen to a lot of self-help podcasts. I'll put some of my favorite podcasts down below. I've made a number of TikTok videos and IG reels on some of my favorite podcasts, but listening to those throughout the day, again, really helped this mental environment that I have in my head. Podcasts plus the affirmations plus the music I listen to, which I'll get into in a moment, really helped this mental environment that I kind of had going to my head turn into a very negative space to a safe space in my head where I affirmed myself and I loved myself. Speaking of listening to affirmations and podcasts, the soundtrack to your life. I don't know where I heard this from, but I love hip hop. I love rap. I love those so much. There is a time and place for them. But again, there's a time and place for them. I found that my mental clarity and my mental environment, my internal environment was so much more improved when I woke up and I played classical music, jazz music, gospel music when I first woke up and was doing my morning routine, or even when I'm working, I listen to like lo-fi hip hop beats. It is a crazy thing how much this romanticizes your life. It is such a free 99 way to upgrade your life, to upgrade your environment. It literally makes you feel like you're in a movie, and it really sets the tone for your day. You can find a lot of great playlists on Apple Music if you literally just put chill at the end of them, like jazz chill or morning chill or piano chill or jazz music for the morning or morning soul or morning gospel. There's so many different playlists that you can find the best one for you. Just try it tomorrow morning. Just try playing music, classical music, jazz music, gospel music, whatever music that makes you feel full. Try playing it tomorrow morning and see how much of a better day you have. I'm gonna mention this briefly because I mention this in every single video, but the whole reason that I mention this is because of how important it is. It is journaling. I know the whole internet talks ad nauseum about journaling, but it can really help your internal environment, your mental environment. I found that when I'm really stressed about things, it feels almost like a floating cloud above my head. But when I spill it out into paper, not only do I feel so much more relieved, I almost look at it being like, okay, this might be a bad problem or this might be stressful, but when I read this through, there's a way through. And when you journal and you look past in other journal entries and you see what you've been through before and you see how you were stressing about the previous problem and you saw exactly how God got you through it, you look at your current problem and you'll be like, okay, well, if logic proves right, I'm gonna get through this too. I think in a very silly way, the greatest things that I get from journaling is the ability to be relieved. That feeling of relief and that feeling of mental clarity is great for my glow up. The last thing I'm going to mention with your mental environment, your internal environment, the changing this environment in your head, all the things that are going up in here, is going to sound controversial, but you need to walk with me. Identity switching. Now, am I saying start developing multiple personality disorder? That is not what I'm saying, but it has been proven time and time again that we are much more likely to stick with things once we associate ourselves with that environment, for better or for worse. As humans, as much as we like to adapt, we end up being self-fulfilling prophecies. If we say, oh, I'm so bad at math, you're not gonna take the steps to achieve that if that is what you are telling yourself. You say, I'm always a mess. Why are you telling yourself that? Why are you associating that with your identity? You tell yourself, oh, I'm so bad at making friends. Like, it is so hard for me to make friends. Guess what? It's gonna be hard for you to make friends. Guess what? It's gonna be hard for you to make and maintain friends. This comes with the positive self-talk, with the podcast, with the self-help. This comes with all of the tips and tricks that I talk about on this channel. But you need to start associating your identity with something positive. Now, I'm gonna give you a few examples that I've kind of noticed that I've done for myself, and hopefully they will be helpful for you. One of the affirmations or positive self-talk or identity is, I'm a healthy person and I take care of this body that God has given me. I honestly feel so grateful that God has given me life and that has given me this body. I'm gonna take care of it and I'm a healthy person. That was my identity. I'm a healthy person. But when I start to, almost like a tree, look at the branches of a healthy person and a person that takes care of their body, it's someone that institutes self-care days. It's someone that works out. It is someone that does journal and that does seek out therapy. It is someone that eats right. It is someone that seeks out a personal trainer or different workout classes. It's someone that takes care of their appearance. Now, you could look at it like, oh, I don't want to go work out. Or you could look at it like, I'm a healthy person, of course I work out. Like, that's just kind of who I am. You're very unorganized and you have things all over the place. You need to start associating your identity. I'm a very organized person and I love how being organized helps me get things done. You need to say that to yourself every single day. Maybe make even more affirmations associated with organizing. It might sound silly at first, but once you associate your identity with I'm an organized person, you start including habits and taking aligned actions to self-fulfill that prophecy. It's the same thing if you say, I'm a mess. I'm so unorganized, like I never have it together. Guess what? You're never gonna have it together. But guess what? I really try to have it together and I'm a pretty organized person. Guess what you're gonna do? You're gonna start looking at planners. You're gonna start optimizing your workspace, looking at different productivity videos on how to become better because that's just who you are. I am an organized person. I understand the person I see in my head. She's very organized. She has it together. Like she is me and I am her. So if I'm going to be that organized person that I know in my heart and soul, then let me start taking aligned action to get to that place. It's definitely easier said than done. But step number one to your internal environment is identity switching. Whatever you are trying to achieve, you need to sit up straight and you need to affirm yourself. Okay, we are at the end of this video, but before I go, I want to give you 3 things that you can do today to change your environment. First thing I want you to do, girl, is I want you to start saving for either a staycation or a vacation. I call this my higher self day. I've made a few videos on it, but I really want to reiterate this for changing your environment. This is one of the most powerful manifestation techniques that I love. Okay, so I really want you to start saving for this, and I want you to do it alone because you need to be alone, because when you're imagining your higher self, you're imagining her environment looks different than yours. So just for a day, maybe even 2 days, we are going to replicate that and feel the energy of that as if it is in our present. So what you're gonna do is you are gonna find a really beautiful home. It could be a 6-bedroom home, or maybe it's a beautiful condo or apartment, or maybe you go on vacation to a resort. But I highly recommend doing a staycation, or maybe you wanna live in LA and you rent a really beautiful home just for a day or just for a night in LA. Maybe your higher self lives in New York. Maybe your higher self lives in Nashville, wherever it may be. Maybe it lives in your current city and that's where you want to stay. So book a staycation there in a beautiful home, a beautiful apartment, whatever it may be. Maybe even just looks like a hotel at the Four Seasons or the St. Regis. And I want you to live a very regular day in the life of your higher self. Now, if you want to be organized, what I would do a couple of days before, maybe even a month before, maybe now you're starting to save for this higher self day, is I want you to journal in the woman that you want to become for, and be very intentional about her environment and what it looks like. Where is she waking up? What car is she driving? What time does she wake up? How does she feel in the morning? Is she waking up next to a partner? Does she have family? Does she have kids? Is she meditating in the morning? Does she go to a workout class with a friend? What does she do during the day? Does she own her own business? What does her day-to-day look like? And I want you to try your best to replicate that day, because I bet a lot of the things that you journal can be done. Let me set the scene for you. You get a 3-bedroom modern home in Atlanta, Georgia, and you book it for 2 nights on Airbnb. Now, you go in, you set your stuff aside, put your clothes up, put everything in the bathroom, act like this is your home. The next day, you're gonna have this higher self day. You're gonna wake up at 5:30 in the morning or whenever she wakes up. You're gonna journal and you're gonna meditate in their home. You're gonna feel the energy as if this is your home. Really be in that frequency. Maybe you go as far as to even rent the car that you wanna buy one day. Maybe you get in this car and you go to a Pilates class and you get a smoothie afterwards, and you come home and maybe you have a massage book. Maybe you have a shopping day and you treat yourself, but you're not really treating yourself, because this is the type of stuff that your higher self does. This isn't treating yourself. This is just day-to-day regular stuff. And you have dinner at your favorite restaurant alone. You look good and you put on all your expensive body butters and perfumes and your best outfits. Maybe you got your hair done beforehand, so you just look and you feel your best. And at the end of the day, the most important part is I want you to journal this day. I really want you to reflect on the day that you have, because this is the true power of manifestation. You literally lived it. You felt the feelings, you felt the frequency, you felt the energy of that day. And I want you to take that essence of changing your environment and noticing the different feelings of that environment. And I want you to always remember that feeling when you go back home, when you go back to reality. See what aligned steps you need to take to get to that version, because you've already felt it. You've already been in that environment. You know that it's possible. Now we just need to associate ourselves with the identity of that woman that is in that environment and take aligned actions to get to that woman. The next thing you can do is you can switch up your living environment. Again, the next thing that you can do today is you can switch up your living environment, even if it's just moving your desk to a different part of your apartment. And the third thing you can start to do today is to switch up your routine. Maybe take a different workout class tomorrow. Maybe walk a different path with your dog. Maybe go to a coffee shop tomorrow to work. Do something this upcoming week that is something different in your routine. Those are 3 things that you can do today. I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope it was super helpful. I hope it was super informative. I'm sorry if it sounded like I was rambling. Again, I was just in my room and I was journaling and I was like, this is it. This is what I really did to glow up and change my life, is I changed my environment. Changing my environment changed my life. And I get passionate about this stuff. I get passionate about you becoming your best self, because I know how much loving myself has brought me my dream apartment, brought me my dream dog, brought me my dream man, and it all started from within. So I'm very passionate about you getting everything that you deserve. So I hope this video was helpful. Please check out my other videos if you want to become your best self. Like this video if you found it informative, and leave a comment down below what a higher self day would look like to you. I want to know everything. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting this community, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, y'all.
I bet if I give all my love